Me and Maria have just had a bit of a picnic and we're now sitting down with the stones. It's quite nice. It's not every day you sit down with the stones, is it?
No, we're in the southern inner circle. The southern inner circle contained about 30 standing stones, creating a very large stone circle, about 100 metres across. It was dominated in the centre over there by a massive stone that once stood 21 feet tall by 8 feet wide, surrounded by
What happened to that stone then?
Unfortunately, it got smashed up and in 1724, and it's gone to make the chapel and the wall over there. So that's where the obelisk stone unfortunately went. But it did create a sundial effect, and the sundial effect was the shadow of the obelisk stone over there at Beltane, which is May the 1st, would strike this stone at dawn.
This stone?
Yep. So this is the Beltane
Yeah, sorry.
stone.
We're sitting with this stone behind us. Nice big stone.
And then in the evening, what closer proceedings on Beltane, May the 1st, the shadow of the obelisk would strike a stone on the other side of the stone circle that's long gone. And that stone just over there.
Where that man's standing?
No, just by us.
This one here?
This one here, next door to this one. At the dawn of the summer solstice, the shadow of the obelisk stone would fall and cast upon there, and do the same in the evening over the other side. So this part here
was the
sundial.
clock.
Yeah, it was a massive sundial, and very, very accurate. And what I discovered for my book was at the winter solstice, what happens then is on that stone over there, the shadow of a stone from the outer circle falls on that stone. The shadow of that stone would fall on the obelisk, and the obelisk shadow would cast onto the other stone, creating a black line that went right the way across this stone circle.
So what does that mean for the sundial?
For the winter solstice,
Right.
which is a very important date in the ancient calendar. So the shadows at Avebury is equally as important as the stone settings, and a lot of people don't think of it that way. I also discovered with the very big portal stones over there, the largest stones, at Imbolc, February the 1st, and Samhain, November the 1st, those shadows of those two stones co-joined and created a massive dark shadow line that hit a stone over there. So I think as you walked into the stone circle at Samhain, October the 31st, 1st of November, Christianised to Halloween, then you would be walking across the shadow into the new year, because November the 1st to the Celts was their new year. We celebrate a civil new year on January the 1st, but back in the Iron Age, from about 750 BC to 43 AD, it was a Celtic New Year of Samhain.
Thank you for that, Maria. Thank you so much for that. I didn't know that about the Celtic calendar. Realised the bit about the Scottish New Year was November the 1st.
Celtic New Year, it wasn't just Scottish.
Right.
It was celebrated throughout Northwest Europe. So it's not just a British thing. It's called the Eightfold Year. So the Eightfold Year began on November the 1st, which was New Year's Day. And yeah, that was Samhain. Then the next festival after that is December the 21st, the winter solstice. The one after that, Imbolc, the 1st of February. The one after that would be the spring equinox, March 21st. And following on from that would be Beltane, May the 1st. After that, the summer solstice on June the 21st. Then it would be Lammas, August the 1st. The autumnal equinox on September the 21st. And then back to Samhain. That's the eightfold year. And that's to the Celts. They believed that the veil between this world and the next grew thin. And so the ancestors on Samhain would be able to communicate with you, you'd be able to communicate with the ancestors, and that's why it was a Christianised festival of Halloween, and people dress up in skeletons. It goes way, way back to the Iron Age, and if not the Bronze Age. Probably the Bronze Age and the Neolithic, because when we look at sun alignments to some ancient sites, for example, the Mound of Hostages on the Hill of Tara in Ireland, then the sun aligns to that on Imbolc. And that's Neolithic, 5,500 years old. So they were using the eightfold Celtic year even in Neolithic times.
Right. You made me think a lot. I made a couple of videos from it. I did send you one about when we were at that chapel and you said it was all blocked off, and it made me realise that with tombstones only being in graveyards from say 1860s, that churches only came about then, and all these buildings, including the Notre Dame church and the Westminster Abbey, they were all pagan buildings.
I think some of them were, not all of them, because it was a directive from a Pope Augustus that wherever there was a pagan site to build a church, but that wasn't necessarily always the case. So for example, at Avebury, the church is way outside of the ancient site. So some of the time...
But you said nothing was built. Well, there's a chapel there, isn't there?
Yes, but that's much later. That's 1724.
Right.
The church predates that, and that's outside.
But do you think they didn't come in here because there was more stones, there was more everything then?
They chose not to. They chose to build a church outside of the site. So at some places they would become pagan sites, but definitely not all of them.
Oh right, because they're saying you're built in them because they were pagan then when they built them, and then they turned into churches. But that one that we went to with the stones underneath the thing, that was a pagan church.
It wasn't a pagan church, no.
Sorry, a pagan building that was made into a church.
Potentially it could have been. Those two stones may have been from a stone
Especially when they blocked the door off.
But they did that anyway. That was something that came much later in Christianity, blocking off and making it what the so-called devil's
Well, I've
door.
just been finding out
that wasn't always
they
the
used to
case.
bury people in cast iron coffins, and those cast iron coffins look like the Egyptians.
Lead as well. They buried a lot in lead. The Romans always buried in lead coffins, not necessarily iron coffins.
They're calling them iron, but they could have been lead.
And from about...
And they look so beautifully done that they almost look like the same as the pyramid ones, except the pyramid ones aren't metal, and those are but they're the same shape and stuff.
Yeah, because that's a good size.
A sarcophagus.
Yeah, that's a good size to move around. From a practical point of view, a coffin shape is easy.
What do you mean, in case they wake up?
No, because it's just practical. Whereas if you've got a big square, just a square box, they're more hard to move. So I think going back to the ancient sites, just to be clear, some of them pagan sites were Christianised, but not all of them in the British Isles.
Okay. My favourite. That is my favourite place, Silbury Hill. Yeah, there's stones there. On the other side of the road. And then these ones are bigger. But these are all big in here, aren't they, really?
No, these ones here are, but the fronted stones that lead you into the site are always the biggest. So these are very large. They weigh about 60 tons, and that's the entrance into the southern inner circle, Temple of the Sun, which was called that by William Stukely in 1700.
Is it this one that's got a seat on it?
Yeah, that's the devil's chair.
Yeah. People here taking photographs?
Yeah. As I may have told you before, the reason why it's got a seat is in my book, Avebury, Sun, Moon and Earth Energies, I show and demonstrate. been added on a couple of hundred years ago. From that seat, you'd have seen the rising sun at midwinter.
There's the seat there. Oh look, someone's put a mask on up there.
That's ridiculous. And also that they don't like it, the farmers, when they tie it to the roots, because the lambs, a couple of lambs died and they start chewing it. So it's just tourism. Because like I say, this isn't tradition here.
They obviously like it because of all the roots. Look at these roots though, they are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, beech trees can't grow in chalk that well, so they spread their roots out. So that's why the roots are.
But they've got to have put some of it below the ground.
Yeah, but not a lot. That's why they just tend to put the roots above the ground like this.
Yeah, I can't get over that tree that we saw. You know, that's what was it? That tree was, how old was it?
Oh my gosh, that.
And it was just no bark in it.
No, it's flickering too. That's thousands.
Yeah. Anyway, we're walking round. And it's absolutely beautiful day, as it should be. And there's those trees. I love those trees.
They're beech trees.
I just love those trees. Cool, look at the roots around that side of it. And if people can see it, because we're going down some steps.
And now we're at another entrance to Avebury.
1 second, let me just finish. I'll hopefully film that now. I didn't zoom in, so hopefully people saw the roots. And what were you saying, Maria?
This is an entrance, another entrance, like the entrance we went into the park.
Oh, right.
So this is an entrance stone here.
Is that one fallen over, or it's supposed to be like that one?
It used to be upright. And it was an entrance stone, because I come from the north, approaching from the north, I'd have gone through two big portal stones to enter the northern inner circle. That's a huge stone.
Yeah, another one behind it. There's a few in this place, isn't there?
There's not many stones surviving in the northern inner circle, unfortunately. Sarsen stone in all of the buildings. So you've got a couple from the outer stone circle and a couple from the inner stone circle, and that's it. And then you've got the heaviest stone in Great Britain, called one of the cove
What, here?
stones. Yes.
Oh, which one's that in there then?
Yeah. It's one of the cove stones, which is a central feature of the northern inner circle at Avebury Henge. It weighs over 100 tonnes. And it was designed to be slightly leaning as well. That was how the ancients wanted it. And it's aligned, which I discovered, to the moon's metonic cycle, which is when the moon rises on the same day, on the same hour, within 2 hours.
What, every year?
No, every 18.61 years.
Oh, right.
It's a very rare.
So the moon's always on this long cycle then?
It's on a very long cycle compared to the annual solstice of the annual sun placements.
Right.
We're going to go and see the heaviest stone.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Dog's out in the middle of the road. There's little Floss. Little Floss has come with us. Little Floss. I'm going to turn this off for a second. It says that this is the biggest stone. Heaviest. Not the biggest then.
The heaviest stone in British Isles.
The heaviest stone in the British Isles is a monument.
As a freestanding stone, it weighs over more than 100 tonnes, making it exceptionally heavy. And it once formed an enclosure with this stone here, an identical stone just over there. So that one had a twin over there.
What, so it was like a hut?
No, like a horseshoe enclosure.
Oh, right, okay.
And this stone here and the axis of that long stubbed stone there aligns to the moon's most northerly moonrise, which only occurs every 18.61 years. That's when the moon rises on the same day within a few hours of its cycle 18.61 years ago. So I discovered that here at Avebury and photographed it in 2006.
So it's real, it happens then?
Yeah, I photographed it. And
Yeah, because you write quite a lot of books and stuff, don't you, Maria?
yeah, I've written a bestseller about Avebury called Avebury, Sun, Moon and Earth Energies. And yes, and I've done some posters and things on Avebury because it's an amazing site. What we're looking at here are the vestiges of a northern inner circle which contained about 30 standing stones. There were 100 standing stones in the outer stone circle, and just over there where you can see another very large stone, we could go over and have a walk there in a moment, that's another entrance to Avebury Henge. So we've already been to 3 entrances to this monument.
Quite amazing. Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
I think that's recording now. I'm going to film it because I was telling Maria about how big Silbury Hill looks when you're standing here. How big it looks. There it is, look how big it looks. And then, well, I don't know, it's enormous for me. It's like, it's about that big to me. And I know on here it looks smaller, but when we walk to the fence, it will have got smaller. I don't know how this happens, because I'm walking now. Is it getting smaller? Is it getting smaller? And then Maria showed me this used to be a garage here. I couldn't get over that.
Yeah, there's lots of garages. There was a garage by the covestones as well.
Yeah, it's getting smaller now. But it is big.
It's huge to walk around. It really is. It takes quite some time.
Is this bigger than the ones in Egypt?
No,
No, they're bigger.
they're much, much bigger. It's about 130 feet high. And it's got angles of about 30 degrees.
There you go, it's still big, but now it's got smaller. It's not as big as it was when we were over there. Silbury Hill! Yeah, when I die, I want my ashes scattered on there.
Yeah, it's a huge monument. It's the largest man-made mound in northwest Europe. It is
Hey, you won't
extraordinary.
believe it that I found out, you probably know this. Silbury Hill is the highest point in the south.
There are higher hills in Silbury. Just down the road is one of the highest points in Wiltshire.
It said, I was
That's
so
incorrect.
shocked.
That is incorrect.
You think so?
Yeah, there's much, much higher points in Wiltshire than Silbury Hill.
Maybe it's not that, maybe it's slightly higher where Silbury is and the points...
Silbury is set in a dip, in a valley.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hills on the other side are much, much higher than Silbury Hill. There's only 130 feet
Oh no,
high.
I didn't mean Silbury, Inkpen Hill.
Oh, I thought you meant Silbury.
No, Inkpen
You
Hill.
said Silbury.
Sorry, I meant Inkpen.
Right.
Inkpen Hill
Okay, that might be.
is
yeah.
the highest point in southern England.
Right. I was going to say Silbury is. It's only 130 feet high. It'd be impossible.
It's still big though, Maria.
Oh, it is. It was took an awful lot of effort to build and construct. You had to feed these people. You had to water these people. It's got a female earth current called the Mary current flowing through it as well that goes all the way to Avebury. It's got numerous ley lines targeting it that links it to Stonehenge. So there's a massive long line going.
Just
to
on this
Stonehenge.
map, show us where there's other things happening. So maybe we can
Well,
pick it
what
up.
we've got here is that's Avebury Henge Stone Circle. That's one avenue called the Beckhampton Avenue that goes to the Long Stones, which are 2 remaining stones. It used to have a barrow here, that's long gone. There's another barrow here that still does exist. You've got the West Kennet long barrow. Then associated with the Avebury complex, you've got what's called the West Kennet enclosures, where they were like a wooden structure with a river going through it. That's the source of the River Kennet here. It's called Swallowhead Springs. You've got the sanctuary, which this avenue here, the West Kennet Stone Avenue, 1.5 miles long, goes to. And just over here you have what's called a satellite stone circle called the Faulkner Circle, which has 12 red standing stones in it. But what predates all of this are these long barrows. These are Neolithic, and this is called a causewayed enclosure. It's a circuit of
And what about Strawberry Hill as well? That's got something in it, hasn't it?
Strawberry Hill isn't in this area.
Right. It's not very far away though, is it?
I don't know. I've never heard of it in this area. But you've got, this is a causewayed enclosure, which is 3 circuits of a ditch with a break, a causeway, a ditch and a bank with a break, and it goes into 3 circuits. That's ancient. That predates Avebury by 1,000 years. That's Neolithic. The yellow ones are all the oldest monuments, and it's associated intimately the landscape with the River Kennet, and that's the Winterbourne that goes that way. That's the Winterbourne there, and that's the River Kennet there. Now go all the way to Marlborough, and so it's a massive enclosure with long barrows, with stone circles, with causewayed enclosures, and with the largest man-made mound.
That's it. We've had a really great day, me and Maria. We went to see Silbury Hill. We've had a good natter and a good chat. And thank you for your expertise.
Anytime, Karen. Always lovely spending time with you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind doing the well, anything around that, like you said, the crop circles.
Yeah, the crop circles.
Or anything. Yeah. I like all that. If you want somebody to tag along sometimes, you can always ask me.
Definitely. We'll meet up again soon.
Yeah. Really enjoyed today. And little Floss, she's had it in the back of the car. She's out for the count. Anyway, thanks very much, everybody. That's it.